All right, welcome to day 13 of the To Your Best Health Summit. I'm just like shocked when I'm looking at my calendar. Wow, 13 already. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yay, we only have one more week. So make sure that you're checking out the recordings and the rest of the schedule. Today, though, we are going to talk about gratitude and being grateful. And we have Grateful Tony here to help us. She's the
Yay.
gratitude coach. And if you don't know what that is, she's going to tell us in just a second. Now, I want to go into this, and I'm not sure if Tony is going to appreciate this, but how I found Tony was one day I was watching a Blab session myself, and this woman came on. It was I don't even know what it was about, coaching and, how you get out of a slump or whatever. And Tony came on and was so completely vulnerable and open to, learning new things that I thought that's the kind of gratitude coach that I want. I don't want somebody who thinks that they know everything in the world. I want somebody who, is still learning too and can, grow into other areas, or that's what I want. So her vulnerability, just, a lesson in life, vulnerability can get you somewhere. So she got my attention. And so I invited her on. So Tony, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
That's great. Yeah. Oh, now I have a little bit of an echo here. Let me close something out. Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Nope, I have an echo from my end, but
If you're having problems, one thing that we learned is if you pop out and pop back in, that might help. Just X out your box with your picture. Well,
okay.
You've been
All right, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
I will. Isn't she sweet? It was really awesome because I had like one more day left in the summit to fill, and I was like, what I really need is somebody to talk about gratitude. And she just popped up. It was amazing. Welcome, Sean. We're waiting. Oh, hold on, Tony. It's my fault. Tony had to pop out and pop back in order to get the echo to stop on her side, and then I locked the seat so she couldn't get back in.
Hey.
There you are.
Awesome. Okay.
Awesome. So Tony was just about to tell us what it is she does, and can you still hear an echo? Or are you okay?
I can. It's so frustrating. I'm trying to figure out. Last time this happened, I had 2 windows open, but I don't see any other windows open. So, okay, maybe it's better now. It's better now. Okay, great. All
Okay,
right.
good. Sometimes it just fades out.
Sorry, everyone. Okay, so my name is Tony Schmidt. I am a gratitude coach and social media consultant. And everybody asks me, what the heck is a gratitude coach? Basically, I help people build relationships online and in life using gratitude. So it's kind of like when you're driving down the road and you hit a traffic jam and somebody's like merging on into your lane, and they roll down their window and they say, thank you, you're going to let them in, right? It's kind of like that. And I talk about that in marketing a lot for businesses, that the more you show appreciation even before someone becomes your client, the more likely they are to become your client and want to build that relationship with you and work with you. So I help everyone. I have clients. I have a client that has, in 90 days, he has lost, I don't know, he hasn't told me how much weight he's lost, but he's lost a lot of weight. He's healthier. He leaves work at 5 o'clock. He was always like a Debbie Downer type guy, and he would admit that to you. And glasses half empty, analytical. His job in IT is to find the problems, but not, as I told him, that's not your job in life to find the problems. Your job is to find the solutions and focus on the growth. And he went on his first date in 5 years, and just really transformed his life by changing his mindset. And that's how I help people. And that's what's got, as you have heard a little bit of my story that day that I was sharing, that's what's got me through some very challenging times, having a grateful mindset. And now we're approaching the holidays, which can be really challenging for people. because it's an emotional time for everyone and stressful, and it shouldn't be. It should be fun, a fun time for people. But yeah, that's what I do. I have a social media consulting business as well as a gratitude coaching business, and I just help people. That's basically it.
That is awesome job, though. I mean, how cool is that to get people to really start being grateful for their life and, you know, the things that are already in their lives, you know? I think that that's, so today I talked to my mom, and I know that she won't watch this, so it's fine that I say it. But she has, it's hard to explain that what she sees is her perception, that it's not truth. You know what I mean? It's like the way she sees things is her interpretation of the data, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that it's the truth. Like I could see the same thing and think something completely different, and she really cannot grasp that concept. So I want to know, you know, what are some of the tricks that you helped, you know, the Debbie Downers get to, you know, being able to be, because to me, what that means is they're more in power of their life. You know, when you're a Debbie Downer, it's like you're a victim, and you know, you're kind of stuck there.
Right.
That's what I imagine. And when you are, you know, when you're feeling good about your life, it's usually because we feel like we have power in our lives.
And when we don't feel good, it's because we feel powerless, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, so I have a great app for that, by the way, an app that I use when I'm really having a difficult time. And it assesses your feelings, whether you feel powerless or powerful, and really helps you change your mindset. I'll get into that in a little bit.
Sure.
But a lot of it has to do with compliments and what, not only how you're complimenting other people in your life, but what you're saying to yourself.
Yeah.
Because your mindset is so powerful, and it seems like in society we're like depending on everybody for our happiness, when it shouldn't be that way, because especially women, like we are the ones 100% responsible for your happiness. So if you're not like looking in the mirror and saying, I'm beautiful, I am amazing, I am wealthy, I am awesome. If you're not like telling yourself these things all the time, and instead you're saying, what's wrong with me? I'm not a good mom. Why did I do that? What was I thinking? These are the things people say all day long, And you would never say that to somebody else. At least I hope you wouldn't. So
right. You would filter that, and yet we don't filter it for ourselves.
Right. And it doesn't help. Even if it's true. Let's say it's true that, I'm not doing a good job with my kids or something like that. Okay. Well, saying that is just going to keep me in that pattern. It's just going to keep me performing at the same way. But if I break that pattern and I say, no, I am a great mom, I am an awesome mom, then guess what? My behavior is going to reflect that, right?
Right.
So I'm a big believer that gratitude is a lifestyle. I wake up in the morning and I get out of bed and I put my hands up and I say, thank you, God. And, you know, that is a habit. The more that I can create habits of gratitude throughout the day, then when I get a call that maybe I couldn't close a deal, or something didn't go my way, or my mom's mad at me or something like that, then I'm going to handle that situation much more effectively than if I was stressed out. If I'm counting all my blessings and I'm like, oh, look at the beautiful sunrise, or, you know, my kids, you know, they're so cute. And, or, you know, at work, you're like showing appreciation to other people, and you're just filling yourself up with gratitude. It's like a fuel for your body. Then when something does go wrong, you're going to handle that situation so much better. You're going to be more resilient, and you're going to be more successful in your life. So, you know, a lot of people, they'll break down along the side of the road, just using a metaphor, because they're not filling up their gas tank with positive thoughts and positive energy. They're not taking care of themselves, or they're not taking care of themselves drinking water, staying healthy, exercising, and giving yourself that positive mindset. And then you wonder why you're overwhelmed, You know, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my life? Why is nothing working? Maybe I need a divorce. Maybe I need to leave my job. Oh my God, what's wrong with my family? I can't even handle the holidays. You know, all this stuff starts going through our head. Yeah. And it's really not true when you break it down and you take a look at all the little things. You're like, things could be so much worse. Like what, you know, look at all the things that I have to be grateful for. Look at the people in the world that don't have all the things that you have. Your blessings are the things that you're stressed out about are somebody would love to have those stresses in their life. They would love it. The thing, you're stressed out because you can't pay your Macy's bill. Really? Really? You know?
And you're going to get those bills every month for the rest of your life. Like, I mean, if you want to stress out about it every month, that's one way to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, Christina, as you know, I went through a divorce, and I show gratitude to my ex-husband. I show appreciation, and people like kind of shocked when I share that. But it really helps us have a better partnership, and we're always going to have that partnership because our kids are 4 years old and 6 years old. So we have a long time to be a team, whether I choose to or not. Well, I guess I can choose to not be a team with him, but that would really hurt my kids. Right. And so the best thing I can do is focus on what he's good at, what he's done well. I married the guy, so he must have some good things, right? And he does have good things. He's a good dad. So, you know, saying he's a bad dad or focusing on all the bad things that he does, it doesn't get me anywhere. And it stresses me out, and it makes my kids not happy.
And I think that's like what you said, like, even if he wasn't a good dad, right? Like, even because I'm not going to say my ex-husband was a bad dad. What I'm going to say is we have a lot of differences and we struggle to communicate well. So even if the truth is that, you know, I don't believe he's a great dad, it's not going to help me to focus on that. You know, it's not going to benefit my child. The only thing I can do is do the best that I can to buffer whatever, you know, I think could go wrong between my child and him. But I mean, that's his relationship with his child. I would never do anything or say anything to my child. That's, you know, he's a different person to him. So.
Right. And your kid is half him.
And focusing on that, you know, because I was angry for a long time after my divorce. And that's really when I got into my valley of my personal growth. Like, and I was so angry, and all it did was kill me with like anxiety and depression and, you know, powerlessness, like we were talking about before. You know, I felt like the Debbie Downer. And I mean, I have friends now that night and day from what I was like, you know, 10 years ago. I was a screaming, flaming, just angry at the world, you know, and it's like a completely different change because I realized it doesn't matter. Even if that's the truth, I don't have to focus on that.
Right. Yeah. And our kids are half them. So whatever, you know, whatever bad things we say about them, it's going to affect our kids because I'm a child of divorce. I know what it's like. And I remember all the little comments that my parents said, you know, under their breath, and it didn't make me feel good, you know? And so what's the point? Like there, somebody was talking this morning on a blab that I was doing about redirecting, and he used to work in IT, and he was talking about like redirecting thought patterns. He's like, it's just like coding. He's like, just redirect. And once it becomes like a habit, not saying that you should ignore your problems, because you don't want to have like your head in the clouds, but you either do something about it or you let it go. And there's only two options, right?
Right.
Because having a pity party or being annoyed with that person and being, like you said, the victim mentality, that's not going to get you anywhere.
You're still doing nothing. I mean, it may be getting you all anxious and getting your fight and flight up, but you're actually not accomplishing anything but getting yourself all worked up and, you know, having all those negative emotions in you.
Right. Right. So there was also there was a video. I don't know if you saw it. I only saw it this morning, but it's a special ed teacher. And every day, did you see it?
I saw it today. Yeah.
Yeah. He started giving compliments, like how many, like 5 compliments to each kid and a high five. Yeah, And we do that. I do that with my kids. We play a game called What I Like About You at the dinner table. And we haven't done it in a little while. I was trying to do it every night for a while. Gets a little repetitive because we have trouble coming up with new things sometimes. But it really reminds you to like focus on the positives, and it encourages my kids to be more resilient. You know, I want to teach them those tools that they need in their life to be resilient and to focus on the positives in other people, because then they're going to focus on the positives in themselves as well, right?
Right. And they'll see the positive in other people rather than, you know, just the few qualities that they may not, you know, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's so important. When I saw that video today, I was like, imagine how fewer like mass gun shootings or terrorists we would have in the world if every day they heard 5 great things about themselves, you know, when they were growing up. I mean, I think we all would have changed, you know, been different people if we would have had some, maybe not all of us, maybe some of us heard that every day. A lot of us didn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so important. And that's what I love when you were saying about, you know, how to give people compliments, like getting to connect with people through gratitude. I'm really interested in that. So what are some of the things, I mean, and I know that you teach it for social media so that people can connect with people as clients, but I'm sure that there's a lot of skills for people who are just trying to, you know, find a group that, you know, meets for some kind of certain, you know, hobby or whatever. And there's a million ways to connect on social media. What are some of the ways that you teach gratitude, how you reach out with gratitude?
Well, I think the most important, one of the biggest things is finding gratitude within yourself. And sometimes that means setting boundaries with people who don't bring you up. And that can be really tough because maybe you have family members that you love and you care about and they're good people, but they complain constantly and they constantly, you know, gossip. And you leave with that, you know, that feeling after you like have a conversation with someone and you hang up the phone and you're like, you know, that was interesting because I learned, I can't believe, you know, I was kind of interested in what the neighbor's doing. Or what the neighbor's probably not doing, you know, who knows whether it's true
or you have Facebook friends like that who post things that you're like,
Yeah, so hide them. Hide your, if you ever feel sad on Facebook because people are saying things, just hide them. Do it right that minute. Don't wait. Do it. And it's okay if you have to put a little bit of space in between your loved ones and you. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're a bad family member to put a little bit of space between you and them. Maybe especially if you're going through a challenging time, you really need to protect yourself. Because I remember like when I was going through my divorce and everyone's like, what is he doing? Like, what's going on now? Like, you know, and they wanted to hear like the gossip kind of. And I mean, these people cared about me. Don't get me wrong. Like they're trying to do the right thing and they want to be someone that I can talk to. And I really appreciate that. But it got to a point where I had to kind of say like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, and I started talking to like different people, people that inspired me, people who were doing great things and didn't have time for drama, people that, you know, people that were just talking about good things and not focused on problems.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be really, those people can be in disguise because they're talking about maybe how to solve a problem. So they'll be like, oh, can you believe that cousin Mildred, she did this and did that. And I think she needs to do this. Right. So it makes it sound like she's helping. Right. And it makes it sound like she's, yeah. But when you step back and you look at it, like it's triangulating and it's not healthy. It's not good to triangulate like that. If they have a problem with cousin Mildred, they should talk to cousin Mildred and not talk to you about it. So I'd really be careful who you're surrounding yourself with. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean that you have to like isolate yourself or never talk to them again. But they might not be too happy if you're now, you know, start by just not answering the phone as much and just focusing on all the great things in your life and the goals that you have for the new year. And I love my app. It's that app that I was talking about.
Yeah, what app is that?
It's called, well, there's one for kids that my daughter does.
Okay.
That's called Smiling Mind. So maybe we could put it in the sidebar here. And she loves it. She tried to do the meditation one that I do. She's 6 years old, and they were using like too big of words. Like she didn't understand. So there's a kids one called Smiling Mind. And then the one that I like for myself, it's free as well. They're both free. It is called the Stop, Breathe, and Think app. This is what it looks like. And it's cool because it talks about, it asks you to check in with yourself. It says, how are you? And asks you to check in with yourself and then listen to a tuned meditation to improve your day. And I like that it really asks you questions about how you're feeling, because sometimes we don't even realize how much our emotions are taking control over our minds. And once we let our mind and logic take over, we're going to be more successful.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens when we let our emotions take over, bad things start happening. So it asks you how you're feeling emotionally, how you're feeling physically. And then from there, it tells you, it gives you the results, and it gives you a meditation that's perfect for you, which I think is cool.
After the how are you feeling, does it give you an option of different, like, are there little smiley?
And it even has like a bar that goes across.
From like 0 to 10 or whatever.
Right. Are you feeling connected? Are you feeling disconnected? And then, and when I watched my daughter do it, maybe it's in hers that has the bar that goes across. Maybe I should just start doing hers. But they're both really good apps. But for hers, it has age appropriate ones for ages 7 to 11 and 12 to 14. And then, okay, so it says, how are you feeling? I don't know if you can really see it, but
no,
I know you're giving the audio of this too, but it says, do you feel stormy or calm? And she moves the bar across. Do you feel energized or tired? Do you feel curious or disinterested? Do you feel tuned in or tuned out? Do you feel negative or positive? Do you feel connected or disconnected? And I can sit there and watch her do this, which is enlightening for a mother.
Sure.
Because I'm like, oh, she's just feeling disconnected from me. That's often what it is, unfortunately. Or she's just feeling tired. You know, how often do kids act out when they're really just tired?
I still do.
I know, I do too.
I still do.
Yeah. So I
strongly would have to be very aware for it. I mean, that app sounds perfect because sometimes we're like, okay, how are we feeling? Well, I'm not feeling any pain. I'm feeling okay. Like we aren't really bringing our attention to, well, am I feeling stress? Am I feeling, like you said, connected or disconnected? I mean, those things are really, really important and things that we don't think about. I mean, it took me a while just to get to the point where I remember at least 1 to 3 times a day to kind of check in with myself and go, okay, am I okay? And there's still workaholic times where I have moments, I mean, days where I forget, and then it tells me in some other way.
Right. Yeah. So the more we can focus on just like the positive things and even changing your state, is something I tell my clients, breathing is something we forget to do sometimes. That's why meditation can be good. But, breathing is something that you can do wherever. You just, taking your shoulders back and looking up, and that can change your whole state sometimes. When you change your physiology, it can change everything. So if you're like this, and you're like not feeling good, sometimes just putting your shoulders back and breathing can really it's the little things that can really make a difference. And smiling, smiling can make a big difference too. And especially in business, if you're an entrepreneur, people trust people that are smiling more than people who aren't. Because if you're in sales, you're going to them with a pain point and they want that pain point to go away, right? And you want to help them identify that pain point and make things better. So So if you're like making this fun, like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, then they feel like they can trust you, which is important because you want to do business with somebody that you know, like, and trust. So, so that's important to remember for entrepreneurs, but also, you know, for anybody that is going to work. And, you know, everybody is a leader. Even if you don't have a leader position at your job, whether you're a parent or whatever you are, whatever you do, you're a leader. I mean, you can go, I heard this story about this guy. He went onto an airplane and the airplane was delayed. There was all these problems. It was like 1 a.m. Everybody was tired. Everybody was grouchy. Even the attendants were like miserable. And everybody was complaining on the whole plane. And he went in. He's like, you know what? I'm going to change the state. And he stood up and started clapping and said, thank you. And it changed the state of everyone, even the pilot. You know, everyone started focusing on gratitude. Like, we have this machine that is about to launch us into the air and take us to a faraway land. And yet we're mad that something is wrong with the airplane and that we have to wait an hour to be safer. Right?
I always say that when I'm stuck on a plane and people are complaining because we're like waiting so long, and I'm like, hey, look, as long as it works when we get in the air, that's what I care about. I don't care if it's now or 5 hours from now. I mean, I prefer now, of course. I'm American. I want to now. But yeah, I mean, so those gratitude has been like monumental in how I have looked at things, because it helped me change my perception. It was like the first exercise that I could really try. And I think I followed something where, you know, you did like 10 to 20 things you were grateful for every day for like 30 days. But it was the first time that I really started believing that your perception really frames what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. That, you know, if I'm looking for all the things to be grateful for, I'm going to see them. If I'm looking for all the things to be, you know, miserable about, I'm going to see them. I mean, any way we see them. And then it always brings me back to, so I went on a cruise once with a couple of my aunts and my mother. And one night, you know, the cruise people, they always make funny animals out of your towels or whatever. If you've ever been on a cruise, you know this, they make funny stuff. And, you know, my mom and I come in, we think it's the cutest thing ever. And one of my aunts come in and they're like, oh, look what they're doing. They're trying to tell us we shouldn't leave our towels on the floor and blah, blah, blah. You know, like, it was like, she took it as an insult. And I'm thinking, it's a cute animal. Like, how can it be an insult? But it is what you perceive it to be. You know what I mean? If you want to see the negative connotation to it, you definitely can. I mean, and especially if you're trained very well at it. But, and the positive is just the same. It's just, like you said, it's retraining the brain. You know, if I'm disliking this moment, you know, I dislike traffic, yet I love the fact that, you know, I am able to own a car that gets me places. I'm able to safely transport my child to his school or, you know, wherever he needs to go. There's a million reasons why I love to have a car and why I love that there's roads I can drive on, you know. It's just that one thing that we're sitting on. And I one more thing, I saw this really, really great Peanuts cartoon today that, you know, Charlie's going, you know, Snoopy, one day we're going to die. And Snoopy goes, yeah, but all the other days we're not. Yeah. And it's like, wow, you know, I mean, if we really think about it, there's always some things to be grateful for. If we're breathing, you know, we're still here, still time to be grateful.
Yeah, and I really practice this all year long, you know, and so funny now, all of a sudden, gratitude, everybody's grateful thing, which is great. It's awesome, but it really is a lifestyle. Really, I believe happiness is a choice. Now I get that echo back a little bit.
Okay, just give it a second. Maybe it'll go away.
So if we choose to focus on the positives, my daughter and I were driving across a bridge. And she said, Mom, what if this bridge breaks and we fall into the river? I said, but what if it doesn't? you know, like,
Yeah.
and she was kind of confused. I never know what's going on in her little brain. But but it's true. Like, you know, we get caught up in the what if sometimes, and it keeps us safe because it's all we know. Because maybe we grew up that way, or, you know, I always say, I talk a lot about gumption. I believe that that the most successful people in this world are not the most brilliant or the most intelligent. They have gumption, which means they are brave enough to reach for what they want, and they find the resources they need to make it happen. So that means anybody can do anything. Like, you know, as long as you're focused on what can happen, then good things are going to happen to you. You know, things are happening for you, not to you.
And
you
keep
focus
your
that
eyes
way.
open. I mean, I think sometimes we so often we do something and then we see how we expect it to turn out, and then, you know, it's easy for us to get disappointed that it didn't come out the way we wanted. And yet, you know, at the same time, there could be 15 other opportunities that are really great for you, but because they're not coming in the package that you expected to see it in, you know, I think that's another place where gratitude really helps us really look out into the world and see everything that is there, you know, and be grateful for all the things so that we can see those opportunities that come up. Because I think sometimes I know I just miss them because I'm just like, darn it, doesn't have a red bow, you know,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
whatever it is that I expected, you know.
Right. And, you know, fear is a good thing because it keeps us safe, and we need fear. But when I always say, when we let fear control our destiny, that's when it's a bad thing. So if it's holding us back from living a life that we want and being happy, then that's when fear is bad. I don't know if you've heard the saying, depressed people live in the past, anxious people live in the future, happy people live in the present.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
And it's true, I think. You know, there's time within reason. Of course, there's always times when you have to learn from your past, and there's times when you have to worry a little bit about your future. But as long as you're mostly living in the present and you're focusing on all the good things, then that's what it's all about. Because of course, tomorrow is not guaranteed. I mean, we all know that. We take for granted so many things. We take for granted, you know, in the morning, you can do a meditation and just feel your beating heart. Like, that heart is an amazing organ, that your body, there's, you know, there's so many like things that have been given to you. And when you think about it, there's only one you out of billions of people. There's no one in the world like you. No one. There's only one you, you know? And yet we're like, oh, well, I'm not pretty enough. Oh, I'm not good enough. And like, you know, get over it. Get over it. You are awesome, you know?
We're not meant to be perfect is what it comes down to. I mean, it's so ridiculous that perfection has become the model of our culture. And it's like, we should just be great. We're so often, you know, grateful for things when they're gone, you know, like, and that's so sad, you know. It's like a lot of people that me, myself, you know, I was grateful for my health when it was gone, you know, until I could get back to being healthy again. We have to start, you know, and if we focus on gratitude and start being grateful for the things that we already have, you know, we're going to enjoy them. So if they do go, we'll say, at least we enjoyed them. We were grateful for them. We took advantage of the gifts we had, or whatever, you know, and instead of going, darn it, I didn't take advantage of that. And I think it's true. Like, we're all amazing, and we're all worthy of, you know, of everything that we deserve. And it goes back to, you know, I said this, I think almost on day one, it was, just because you deserve it doesn't mean you'll get it. But if you have enough gumption, your chances are really good. Like,
Isn't that the best word?
I love gumption. Yeah, I was going to mention it when I read it on your profile. I was like, I love that word, gumption. I use moxie a lot, but gumption.
Oh, yeah? Tell me about moxie.
Different.
What does moxie mean?
So moxie to me is kind of the same thing, but you're getting it done by being bold.
Oh.
So for me anyway, I should probably look up the dictionary definition. I'm sure I have. I just can't remember what it is.
I like it. You'll have to send it to me or post it. Because that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I love the word gumption though. It's like that oomph behind the
Hmm.
entrepreneur. And it's so true what you said about like everybody's a leader because no matter who you are, you're modeling for the next citizen. You know, it's like we can't get better as an entire society, as a global society, unless we start modeling the best of ourselves for each other. You know, if other people see you modeling the best, they're going to want to model the best. It's like that Marianne Williamson, poem or quote that she has, when you shine your light, you allow others to shine their light too. You make it okay. And I think that that's one thing that we really missed out in childhood. At least I did. I always got the, stop showing off. Don't be, you don't need to be seen or that type of thing where everything I was doing was too much. That's the message I got. Like I was not to be seen as much. And I think that's such a shame that so many women hear that message because it tells us to back off of our passion. It tells us to back down. And it doesn't tell us that we can be leaders too, and
Right.
I mean, be seen. Every human being wants to be seen because we want to be in connection with each other, so go be wild, go be seen. I never tell
Hmm.
I mean, I try to remind myself if I catch myself, to not cage my child in, let him be a little wild
Yeah.
for him,
Have fun, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
Use the
mean, and
thoughts
that's
of
what
worry.
if there's anything that I want people to take away from this, it's just training your brain. Tony Robbins talks about like a myelin sheath. He says that it's literally a chemistry that you change your brain.
Mm,
Um, and I'll share with you a little story. I have struggled with depression since I was 11 years old. Um, and I would go on antidepressants through the years when things were happening, and then I'd go off of it, then I'd go back on it. And then after I went through my divorce and I was going through a tough time, and I went to a therapist, and I was like, I think I'm like bipolar or something, and she's like, No, you're just going through a divorce. and and then I tried to go on. I went to a Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within, and basically like they brainwash you to think that you're awesome for like a whole weekend. Like
mhm.
I drank the Kool-Aid, and I was like, you know what? If Oprah drinks the Kool-Aid and all these successful people, these celebrities and people are doing what Tony Robbins says, and I'm going to do it too. And it really helped me a lot to see that I am in control of my emotions and that happiness really is a choice. And then after that, when I was going through a difficult time, I actually tried to go on antidepressants, and it made me all crazy. Like it made me anxious. I think I forget how I felt when I was on it, but it didn't have the same effect on me because I was taking more control over my emotions.
Mm,
And I was surrounding myself with the right people and making different kinds of choices. Now, I'm not saying at all that people should not go on antidepressants. I'm not saying that, obviously, because I've used it, and sometimes, with the serotonin level, it can be helpful. But what I am suggesting is that you have control over your life. And a lot of times it's something simple like staying hydrated, eating healthy, and exercising. I have a good friend that her and I like check in with each other. And whenever she's like feeling overwhelmed, I say to her, like, are you drinking water? Are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? And usually the answer is no,
mhm.
and I'm like, well, start there before you make any drastic changes in your life. Start by like putting good fuel in your body so that you can think clearly and you have control over your emotions and get enough sleep. I get 8 hours of sleep every night, which means I have to be laser focused on what I do during the day. But I know that I need that. And it helps me to get through some really challenging times.
Absolutely. I mean, I know when I'm not sleeping, I mean, it goes back to like we were talking earlier in the summit about like addiction. when we were making choices, that's where it comes from. Like when we're making choices, when we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or sick, we can make, we're open to really bad choices. I am open to really bad choices, but we're most riskful, during those times. And when I'm tired, forget it. Like I am an emotional crybaby. Like I can't think straight. I can't make decisions, and I tried before in my life, to do the, 18-hour work days and only sleep for 4 hours. And, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night and all that. And that does not work. Like it does not work for long, because after a few days of that, your brain starts shutting down little areas going, okay, well, I haven't had enough rest, so I can't be working all these areas. And little by little, even if you're not noticing it, your genius and your creativity are like quickly leaving, and you're still doing the work, but it starts becoming real work, like painful. And I know I can do that very easily. So one of the things that I do too is I make sure, like, I know what time I have to be up tomorrow so that I can make sure I know what time I need to be in bed tonight, because I need to get my sleep, because it's not pretty and things don't work well when I'm tired. And, with me, because I can get sick so easily with my ulcerative colitis, I have to be aware of that and of the water and all those other things. And I think it's so wonderful, your friend, even when she, isn't taking care of herself, at least she's got that accountability partner and that support to say, hey, look, you need to start, get a little kick in the ass or whatever. I mean, that to me, we talked about it yesterday too. Support is one of the number one things you need to do if you are going to try to make big changes in your life, or even maintain, the goals that you're going for. It's so helpful. It's not to have a policeman around you, but just to look at it, like, did I get to my goal? Didn't I get to my goal? If I didn't, what can I do that I'm not doing? Or did I not do something I committed to doing? All of those things. I mean, and that's where, like, you and me are kind of the same, because we coach people. So we go through the same processes with them, you do, social media spin and gratitude spin on it, but it's all the same. I think coaching, it often just comes down to creating focus for the client. It creates that, now I'm paying for it. Now I'm telling myself I'm committing the time and the energy to doing this, so I'm going to be more successful. So I love it when people think that, like, coaches have some kind of magic, like, because they do, like, I could give you all my information in a book. There's millions of books out there, but it's never going to be the same as having somebody there to hold you accountable, walk you through, give you support, and love you too. I mean, that's what it's about. It's not about, being all hard on you. Like we're hard. I'm hard. I know, because I want you to be accountable and I want you to get the things that you want. But I'm also kind in that, it's not right or wrong. It's not you're bad or shameful. Like, if these are learning moments, it's all learning.
Exactly. And I think if I could give anybody tips for going into the holidays,
yeah,
it would be to really focus on, like, compliments to yourself and other people, like we said earlier. If you are constantly, just send text messages to your family members before, Mom, I'm so appreciative that you're taking the time to make dinner for us. Even if she gets so stressed out that she's a pain in the butt to be around, take time to tell her you really appreciate the time that she's putting into it.
Yeah.
Because what if she's gone tomorrow?
Yeah.
And you just never know. You see it on Facebook all the time that I do. I have friends of mine that are like, God, I just wish my mom was here, and it just brings me to, like, tears to even think about it. I'm so glad that they post that, because I never know what to say. I never know, like, sometimes I want to say, like, thank you for reminding me, but then I don't want them to, like, feel bad. But like, it does. It makes you think that, especially as you get older, your parents are getting older, and you just never know. So, really telling yourself, like, sending yourself good messages. I have an alarm set on my phone throughout the day, telling myself things that I need to hear, things that empower me. Because I need to be my own coach, and I need to I wrote this letter to myself. It was right when I first got divorced, like 2 years ago. And I wrote a letter to myself, like saying, "Dear Toni, like, you're amazing. Like, you weren't given a lot of tools to handle these kind of situations. And the kids are lucky to have you as a mom," and like all this stuff. And I put it in my bills folder, which was perfect because you're always stressed out when you go to your bills, right? Mm-hmm. And I was going through it one day and I was feeling just so overwhelmed by finances and everything. And I came across a letter to myself, you know, and I had just gotten off the phone with somebody else who didn't necessarily tell me what I wanted to hear. And I was like, this is all I need. This is it. I have the answers within me, you know? Yeah. So I encourage the people who are listening to write a letter to yourself and put it somewhere crazy, you know, things that you need to tell yourself, things that you never heard as a kid. Maybe you wish your mom would have focused on the positives when you were a kid, or you were never told, you know, shine, you know, like you were saying about be quiet, you know. So whatever the opposite is of whatever those things, you know, everybody has those things that they were like told as a kid that money doesn't grow on trees, or yes, money does grow on trees, and I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to be abundant, and I'm going to be wealthy. And, you know, whatever it is that used to drive you crazy, do that, say the opposite, you know? Yeah. One of mine was, your expectations are too high. My mom still says that, and it drives me crazy. And I'm like, I know what she's saying, and what I think she means to say is that my expectations aren't always realistic because I expect things to go a certain way, and when they don't, I'm upset. But what I've come to realize is that setting high expectations and setting high goals is awesome, because I'm going to do amazing things in this world. Like, I promise you that.
Or maybe she was just trying to say, you know, the fact that you get disappointed saddens me, so I don't want you to take that risk, is really what she's trying to say, right? I mean, and I hear that a lot, you know, from my mother too, because her thinking is a lot different than mine. So like, to leave a job for no paycheck, you know, to work without a paycheck, the security of a paycheck, like, are you crazy? Like, right. You know, like, those things are challenging, and things that she doesn't know. You know, the only thing that she knows is you go to school and then you get a good job. So to do things that she hasn't been successful at herself is, you know, I think it's hard for parents to look at kids and hope, you know, it's like, you don't want them to fall. You're like following the toddler around, you know, like, you know, and you just kind of have to let them fall. Yeah. You can love them, give them the data, and let them learn.
Yeah. My friend, Carolyn Rim, if you're not following her, you should follow her. Oh, and I have a Facebook group called Gumption, Grace, and Gratitude. I can put that in the side. I'd love for you guys to
definitely do that.
To follow that. Gumption, Grace, and Gratitude. But my friend Carolyn Rim, we were talking, she did a video the other day, and she was actually going through a divorce herself, and she had a mentor. Guys, if you don't have a mentor, if you don't have a coach, please get a coach, especially if you're going through a challenging time or you're an entrepreneur and you need support. Please do yourself a favor and get some support, as a side note. But what she made this video, and it was hilarious because she was talking to her mentor about how she was like depressed that her ex-husband was taking his stuff out, and like, we're in an unhappy marriage. But she was like upset about it, and she was like grieving and going through the stuff, and it's been a couple months, and he was like, I need you to take a piece of paper out. I need you to take a pen out. And she's like, okay. She's like, what are you going to tell me? And she's like, I'm ready. And he's like, get the F. Am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Get the fuck over it. Get the fuck over it. You know? And I was like, you know what? That is good advice sometimes. Sometimes we need to hear that, especially women, I think. With boys and men, I mean, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, right? But with boys, they're taught to be a little more resilient sometimes, that, you know, you fall on your bike, you're like, you're okay, get over it. Don't be, you know, don't be a wuss. Well, girls need to hear that too sometimes, you know? And I was out teaching my daughter how to ride her bike, and I realized that I kept asking her, are you okay? Are you okay? And she didn't know if she was okay.
Sean, hold on one second. I'm just gonna turn on my light because all of a sudden, like, sunset just hit at like 4:30. I think that cloud is over both of us now. Thanks, Sean. I was just about to do that. I didn't want to interrupt, but go ahead. There we go. And I didn't mean to interrupt. Where were you? Oh no, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh no. Tony, you might have to pop out and pop back in. Sometimes that helps my helps my speakers reconnect. Sorry, folks. Give us just a second. Let me open the seat again so she doesn't get locked.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yay.
Okay, so get the fuck over it, right?
Right.
Sean,
that's great advice.
Yeah, it is. We need to hear that sometimes. So every time my daughter was falling off her bike, Sean's going to use that. I know. It's awesome, right?
There you go. He's even got an acronym for it now, too.
Yeah. My friend's mentor is Joseph McClinton. He works with Tony Robbins. He's like a big deal. So he might already have that hashtag, who knows, but it is great. And so she kept falling off her bike, and every time she would fall, I would say, are you okay? Are you okay? And she would get upset at me and mad at me. Like she didn't know. She needed someone to tell her that she's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you know, if you think about it, and you think about when you're going through a hard time, maybe you're going through a job loss or maybe the holidays, you need somebody to tell you, like, get over it. Like, you're okay. Everything's going to be all right. And that helps you more than someone saying, are you okay? You know, of course, there's times when we want somebody to ask us if we're okay. But for the most part, we need people to tell us that we are okay and that everything's going to be all right. You know, just like your parents do. And, you know, that's what you want to hear, because the truth is everything will be okay. Right. Mm-hmm. So asking it sometimes takes us down a negative path that we don't need to go down. We just need to hear that everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. And I had a counselor once that said, you know, you could choose two things, because I was a what if person. I really love the what if, because that's how I was trained. You plan everything out so nothing goes wrong, you know, like control the whole situation as if that's possible. And my counselor said, you know, you have to stop thinking about the what ifs, or you have to follow it all the way down the line. So what happens if, you know, you're so stressed out you lose your job? Well, then I won't be able to pay my bills. And what happens if you can't pay your bills? Well, then I guess I'd have to move in with family. And what happens if you have to move in with family? Well, it's going to suck because I don't like my family. And what happens, you know, you just keep going. And what's the worst that can happen? Because usually it's not as bad as our emotions are making it feel like. You know, it's just like, you know, when we're in a tough situation in the present, like, the what ifs are even worse because it's like you said, that it's the anxious live in the future because you're getting anxious over stuff that hasn't even happened yet. You don't even know if it's going to happen. And you're getting all like, this is the worst thing ever. So you can do it if you want to, but you have to go all the way down.
Right.
And I'm telling you, you'll waste a lot of time because in the end, you're going to find out that it's really nothing to worry about. Either you can do something about it right this red hot second, or, you put it on a shelf until you can do something about it. I mean, that's all you can do. And then the rest of the time, focus on the things that you do have and what you can do in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I can get into the analysis paralysis. I could just sit there all day, and it's not even just the what ifs because then they come in other forms, right? Well, I'll really suck at this, or, I've never done this before, so chances are I'm going to screw up, or I did screw. Well, all those messages, like
or else you can change it, flip it. Like I said, when when we were going over the bridge, and my daughter said, "What if the bridge breaks?" And I said, "What if it doesn't? What if we get across and we have an awesome day? And that's, I think, what we need to, if you have someone in your life that is kind of analytical and critical, or maybe it's you, right?
Yeah.
That's not always a bad thing. Like, you don't want to put down the critical person because then you're doing the same thing, right? But
I'm a great planner. I'm great at preparing the family for things, organizing our schedules. Like, I mean, there's truly gifts in being able critical to be thinking. A practical, logical, analytical mind.
Yeah, we need those people.
Absolutely.
But you can't let it control. You can't let it be fear that controls your destiny, like I always say. So if you're worried about things that aren't realistic, or even, worried about things that are out of your control, then it's not gonna help you. It's not gonna give you the things you want in your life. I mean, I could easily wake up and say, like, what if this, what if that, but it's not going to get me where I need to go. Like, I wake up and just try to appreciate anything and everything that I can. And I'm more resilient. I'm more successful that way.
And I think it comes with, like, also when we let go of, controlling all the outcomes and thinking about all the fear, and we really step into gratitude, it's so relieving almost, it's like some people say when they trust in God or whatever, like, it's relieving to know that I am not responsible for everything that goes wrong. Right. It's relieving to know that I'm not responsible for the next person's feelings or, or what they do. It's like all I have to do is take care of myself. And when we have gratitude, it's so easy because taking care of yourself is just, admitting and accepting that we are really wonderful and amazing creatures and we have everything that we really need.
Success Sean says, let it go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it changes your whole mindset when you can let that go. Like it created a space where I didn't feel like I had to be the angry mom who was always nagging at people, trying to get stuff done and, feeling like I'm spinning my wheels and getting angry everywhere, being able to be grateful and let it go. I love, was it Bob Newhart? Somebody did a Saturday Night Live episode where this woman comes in and she's like, I wanted to come see you about whatever her problem was. And he was like, oh, well, I can solve this in 5 minutes, but you have to pay for the hour. So we can work on some other things. And she's like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one? Oh, he shared that one. Oh, you'll have to watch it because the guy's just like, well, just stop it.
Yeah, like, that's funny.
Stop it.
Right. It's so true. Stop it with Bob Newhart.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that again. But yeah, you should click on that link too because it was just so funny. It's just like whatever. She comes up with another problem. He's like, just stop it.
I will. That's hilarious. Yeah. But it's true. And I can tell you the one thing, like, to get you through the holidays, when you like start sending people like texts out of the clear blue, like saying, I appreciate you. I did this to my great aunt. She's in a nursing home. And I was there with her and like I held her hand and I just said, I want you to know that I really appreciate you. And she looked at me and she was like, you do? And I was like so surprised that You know, I was like, of course I do. Why would I be here if I didn't appreciate you? But we need to hear those things.
Yeah, we don't say it enough.
You know, send it in a text. If you like, you know, if you're in a relationship and you know, just simply Google on your phone, Google love, and come up with all these pictures and send that to someone, even if you're not in a relationship. You know, send it to your sister, send it to somebody for no reason at all. Tell your boss that you're grateful for them. You know, once you start doing those things, you'll be surprised at how much people start appreciating you, including your kids.
Yeah.
You know, so the more I focus on what my kids are doing right, instead of just putting out fires, then things start going more smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, because then it's not like you're only coming to them with the negative, and nobody likes that. And that's something like I have in my calendar, because me and like social connection, I could completely go with at being an entrepreneur. You know, if I don't make a point or put it in my calendar, I can forget to keep in touch with people. Like, and it could be months later and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to go out to dinner with that girl like months ago. And so I have a women's community, and there's women that I really adore there. And I remind myself to text them every once in a while just to tell them how important they are, you know, to me, and all of the personal growth that I've gotten from them, all the gifts I've gotten from them. I think it's so important, and it's stuff that we don't hear every day. I mean, I don't know why we're so shy to give compliments, or, you know, and sincere ones at that, right? I mean, even if you just like the way that girl's hair twirls, like, I'm sure she'd love to hear it. You know, who doesn't love to hear a compliment? I mean, sometimes we don't know how to react to them.
Yeah.
But
and it's the little things. You're right. I was at the grocery store and I was going through the checkout line, and I saw this younger person, and she was heavy, and she didn't look like she looked like she was not very sure of herself, and she had some challenges. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to find something pretty about this girl and give her a compliment. And that made me feel good. And you know, the more that I do that, my kids, it was a couple weeks ago, we were at church, and my 4-year-old, I was so proud of her. She went up to the choir, one of the choir members. He was wearing a robe after church. And she said, "Thank you for your beautiful singing." And, you know, a 4-year-old, like, they say things and then she's off to get her apple juice or whatever. And he's like, "What did she just say?" And I said, "She thanked you for your beautiful singing." And he said, "No one's ever thanked me." You know, it's like we live in a thankless world. We really do. Yeah. Like, we say thank you, like, please and thank you, please and thank you, please and thank you. But we don't say it like we mean it.
Yeah. And we can overwork ourselves because of that, because we are working so hard I mean, not that we only do it for the thank yous, but, you know, we put so much on our plate because we think that that's normal. You know what I mean? It's normal to have a plate with everything falling off of it. Instead of, you know, there was a time where each person only had like one job in the village or the community, and that was their job, and they were thanked for that. You know, there was one baker, and he baked for everybody, you know, and people were grateful to have bread, you know. So it's like we've lost that piece, and I think that that's the piece that keeps us connected. You know, it's actually at least one piece that can keep us connected to other people in an intimate and trusting way, you know, where it's not just all, you know, Facebook friends that see my statuses but don't really connect, because that to me isn't real connection. That's me seeing the update on your life, you know. So I think that that's a really great tip to put in this one, is just to make sure that, especially if you're an introvert like me, that you're taking the time to go out and connect with people, because really, really important piece that we mentioned before is support. And whether that's getting a counselor or a coach or a therapist, or, you know, or just a friend like you have that keeps you guys are accountable to each other for your health. I think that's just so important that you go do it. And if there's something, if you and your friend want to get healthier but you don't know how, get a health coach. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to get better at social media, get Tony. But
Thank you.
and it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be one of us, but I mean,
Yeah.
just in life in general, there's a lot of things
Right.
that me and Tony can't deal with. So,
Yeah,
so
I don't think
get
everybody
somebody,
has different
get
needs.
somebody who you relate to. I mean, don't get the fancy coach just because, you heard
Bells and
that they
whistles.
did really wonderful things for somebody else. If it's somebody's personality you're not going to get along with, do yourself a favor and please don't don't hire a coach who isn't like what you want to be like, or at least can assimilate to you, where you can relate and all of that.
Right.
That's the trouble.
And you mentioned real quick, I know we're going over because we're having so much fun and talking about all this great stuff. But you mentioned about social media and about people on Facebook talking about all the good things in their life or whatever. I remember one time with my karate teacher, I hadn't seen him in a couple years, and I ran into him and I was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "Actually, I know how you are because I'm Facebook friends with your wife." And he got like mad. He's like, "You don't know how I am."
Exactly.
He's like, "Just because we're Facebook friends doesn't mean you know how I am." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's right."
Yeah.
We make the assumption that, because they post great pictures of blah, blah, blah. Well, we know ourselves that we don't post a lot of the real things going on behind the scenes, right?
Right.
Because that would just bring people down, and that's not.
And the people who do, those are the ones that I take off my timeline sometimes, because I mean, sometimes there's just a bit too much. Like, that would be perfectly okay if you picked up a phone and called me and said, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling." You know what I mean? And then we can have a conversation. When you just post it like a broadcast onto Facebook, it's like you're asking for either a pity party and this is just my judgment, doesn't mean it's the truth, but that's my perception of it, that I don't know what to say to you. Just like you say, I'm missing my mom or whatever, when they post that on their Facebook, when they've lost their mom, it's like, I don't know what to say. All I can do is hold space for you. Love and hugs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and sometimes that's okay. I think like when people post that, something like that,
Sure.
and they're looking for support. They're looking for prayers or people to support them, and I think that's okay sometimes. But you just never know what's going on behind the scenes. You never know how people are really doing, because that's like standing up on stage and telling 800 people their personal story. You don't
There's
do
a place
that.
and time for it. You know what I mean? And it's okay if you want to put it on your Facebook timeline. That's up to you. Just, you might get better results from for getting support if you actually reach out to somebody, or even like private message them. I don't know. Maybe that's just my judgment. Maybe, because I mean, sometimes I guess maybe it's my fear of not knowing the right thing to say. That's something to look at.
Yeah, we all have our things, right?
Yeah,
to look at and think about. And everybody has a different perspective. You're right. I mean, what one person perceives, you see it all the time on Facebook. Somebody posts something and there's 50 different ways that that's perceived. As you read through the comments, you're like, oh, that's interesting that they perceived it that way. Or, so you just never know. You never know how. Or, and also it is just something they're typing. So sometimes somebody can type, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. It's just like everybody's had problems where you got a text and you took it the wrong way.
Oh yeah, because you didn't read the sarcasm, or you didn't read there was a word missing, or, you never know how. You can take it, and that goes back to our perception, like, are we the kind of people who read it and automatically think this must be the most evil, insulting text ever? Or are we the people who look at it and go, they must have screwed something up there?
Yeah. That happened to me recently. Oh, I posted, "Why are you so damn happy?" And I tagged a bunch of people and nobody responded. And I was like, why did nobody respond? Like, I thought it was being funny. Like, I was just kind of like making an emphasis, like, why are you so damn happy, you know? But it didn't come across that, like, some people that knew me were like, they
The
don't,
tone doesn't come. Yeah.
people don't even listen to me anymore. They're like, yeah, whatever. She's just crazy. But, but like, things can be misperceived is my point, that
Sure.
people are like, what does she mean by that? I don't really understand. Yeah, reality can be your perception. So you have to take that into consideration, how people are perceiving you. And that's why I like these things, because I think you can be more raw and more authentic in videos and on Blabs and Periscope. There's less of a chance of you being misinterpreted. You can be real rather than things that you're just posting in text.
Yeah, I gotta say, I trust live streaming more than like even webinars and webcasts, because those can always be recorded and perfected, and like that's the show, right? And Blab is kind of like the green room, you know, just kind of sit and talk, and I like that part because that's more my style. I'm not a, you know, get the gown on and get the tiara and everything and go on the late night show.
And make sure you follow Success Sean and Byron. They're both really great. They're some of my followers. I don't know if you've met them before or not. Maybe they're your followers too, but they're really awesome people, and they're doing coaching as well. They're doing awesome things with their communities.
Very
so
cool.
Make sure you.
Looks like I was already following Sean.
It's a relatively small community on Blab. Like, it's growing. But it's kind of funny sometimes because they say Periscope is like 3 times as big as Blab. Like to us, we feel like, oh, like this is so awesome that everybody's doing it now. But everybody's not doing it. It's mostly like social media people, life coaching people. Yeah. And still, I mean, even when I post links, I don't know why people are scared of it.
There's a lot of people who don't want to use a Twitter account. So the things that I've come across in my summit now is the Twitter account, getting the app. They don't want to load another app. I mean, there's probably a million reasons, but yeah, we're in the early adopter phase. That's what I think too. So I think it's all good. I think I don't like Periscope because I don't like talking to myself, and I often feel like I'm just like talking, like even doing a video or a video recording is a little bit easier for me than Periscope, but I don't know, Periscope just isn't me. I might do a few this week because I am trying to launch my program. So I'm hoping that might help. And
Periscope is good to do right before you blab, I found.
Okay.
So right before you get on, I meant to do one today and I forgot. But right before you go on a blab, do a little Periscope and send people to blab.
Okay.
Byron likes Periscope. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like I used to like it until I found Blab, and now I just the hearts, and it's not enough. Like I like to see somebody like nodding their head, and seeing that I'm interacting with somebody to me is much more appealing than just the phone. But we do have to keep in mind that there's a lot more people on Periscope than there are on Blab. So if we want to connect with leads and we want to connect with people, if you're an entrepreneur, it's important to still be using Periscope, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think what you said about that, going on Periscope first to kind of push them to the Blab, that's probably a good thought that I'll have to look at doing.
And I like with Blab that I can watch the replays so much easier.
Yeah.
That with Periscope, I feel like I always, there's the Catch app. But I always it always is expired. It expires too quickly. As long as you don't try to do both at the same time. Yeah,
it's within 24 hours. And the other thing I like about the Blab is that you can pause the recording if you want to. You can, do whatever you want there. Mm-hmm. Where Periscope is just you're on or you're not.
Yeah, and you get a lot of creepers too.
Blab, have other people talk. I don't actually have to be here. So yeah, I've used Catch Me too, but I know that a lot of people have said that they now just wait for the replay. So there's not a lot of people on live, but I do check later, and there's people watching the replays. So I think for Blab, it's really it's an initial live thing that you can be here, but it just goes right off to the replay. And I think that people like that piece, and that you can kind of go forward in them. I don't know if in Catch, can you move the scope forward and back? Because that was my biggest problem with watching those
I
scope
don't think
replays.
so. But I know Byron's going to have the answer for that. I know he will.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you can or not, but
okay, he thinks you can on Catch.
But yeah, I mean, our time is very valuable, and we don't want. But I found, like, with networking and joining forces, like with people like you, collaboration's really good in business. So I think that just from a pure networking, if it's not just lead generation, these platforms are really great collaboration. Yeah. It's good to connect with these people and, connect with their audience. So now all of a sudden you're connecting with all of their audiences, and it just really builds your tribe. But as far as lead generation, like on Periscope, most of the people that are following me are just creepers. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I haven't put enough time into Periscope to really make it worth it. I probably need to be more consistent. What's that?
Is it, or there's just a lot of creepers out there?
You don't get them on here too much.
No, not as many. I mean, I think like a few weeks ago I did, but now it's not so bad. Let's see. Sean just started a show last week with another mindset coach called Mindset for Life. When's that on, Sean? Or is it intermittent when you decide? Challenge. Yeah. Yeah, women just tend to attract creepers in general. I think that's true. That's why, like, there's a lot of people that like to try to come on screen here. And this is way off our topic, but that's perfectly fine because I think it helps people learn more about Bet Blab. And I am all happy to promote that because I really like this format. I will, like I said, do some Periscopes. I'll put the big girl pants on and just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can connect with people, which is great, and you're letting people see your vulnerability, like you said, is so important. Show is on Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. That's another thing with Periscope. I had to take the app off my phone. Maybe I just needed to change my settings, but it was like chirping all the time. Did you guys have that?
I never let it give me notifications, so I didn't have a problem with that. I don't take notifications for almost anything except for like phones calls. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I just need to turn off the notifications. But, you just, in today's world, it's just so noisy. You can't get anything done if I follow all you guys and I follow all the people, not on the audio on my iPad, you just get so distracted, right? You can start getting crazy. You got to control what's coming in or else you won't get anything done. So.
And it's a balance, right? I mean, because I know I do a lot of my social media when I go perusing through social media, it's because I'm trying to learn something. I want to get updated with my friends and that's all good stuff. However, when I'm supposed to be working and I'm like now on to 6 articles down, or whatever, it's like, okay, this is enough. Like, I'm no longer learning anything. It's time to pack this up because it can be overstimulating. And if I had a notification come over for all my social media stuff, it would make me crazy, which is why I've completely turned them off because it's distracting. If the phone buzzes, it's distracting to me. So only phone calls, get notifications.
Yeah, that's smart. That's good. And you have to protect that time because just networking and all that stuff's not going to pay your bills, right? If you're an entrepreneur.
And what you said, I want to get my 8 hours of sleep. You know what I mean? I have all these other things that I need to do in the day to take care of myself. And I'm one of those people where I used to rob from my sleep to get that extra work done, to be that successful leader, right? So I just, I did it magically. No, I didn't sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Look how awesome these guys are. They found out for us.
Yeah.
Confirmed you can.
Okay.
Catch. You guys are the best.
Yeah. So you can do that now. But that was my big fault with Periscope before, was that I couldn't get to the part where I wanted to get to. Like if I had watched some of it before and didn't get to finish it, that kind of irritated me. But
yeah, I understand. We have the same amount of props.
Oh, that's nice. People are being very balanced in there.
Oh, I'm winning.
Clapping.
Oh, so I'm on Team Byron and you're on Team Sean, apparently.
There we go. I think they're being pretty fair.
Now, see the guys competition. You know how guys compete at everything. Now they're
all you had to do was trigger them. Say that one thing. Make it a competition, and here we go.
That's funny.
Funny. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us, and thanks, Judy, for being here too.
So, do you do this every day? Are you doing this every day? Or?
Thanksgiving, every weekday. Okay. Yeah, so this is day 13. We have 5 more, and then I have a webcast on a webinar on the 27th. So,
and what's that about?
The webinar is about creating abundant health. So we're going to talk about, yes, thank you for asking. We're going to talk about that one secret that every diet plan you have known has forgotten about. And that is the one secret that is actually going to help you make changes that last forever. So, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you'll have to show up and find out.
Awesome.
And I'll actually put this in the side for replayers.
And my group, Gumption, Grace, and Gratitude group is in the side too. So I'd love for you guys to join that group.
I will click
I have some good things going on as well. But I just want to thank you so much for...
Thank you for hanging out so long, too. I know it's 4:30, and of course it was the one day that I was like, oh, I really should get right to cooking dinner and everything because we have guests coming over, and oh, well.
Yeah, I know. This was great. And I hope we help some people because that's what I'm all about, helping others.
Yeah. We'll have to keep in touch because I really enjoyed talking to you.
I know, me too. And you're right in Philly, so we can get together.
Yeah, definitely. We should. Maybe we could do an event together.
I would love that. And I think I know Byron's down south, but I think Sean might be not far from us. I think he might be in Jersey.
Thanks, Judy.
Where Success Sean is.
Texas.
Yeah,
Texas. That's a bit far.
Guatemala. You're in Guatemala? And I thought you were in New York? Is that where you live, Sean? That can't be where you live. Why was I thinking he was in North?
You have a spare room. But
Sean is in the deep south, yes. That's funny. I never knew that. But yeah, it's great to connect with people all over the world. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's great. I never knew that.
All right. Well, then that wraps up day 13. I'm so excited. Tomorrow, just real quick, we have Amy Ostreicher. I'm probably going to mess up her name. Ostreicher. She is gutless and grateful. So
I like it.
It's an amazing story. Right before her prom, she basically lost her gut. Like it exploded. And she learned how, after years of being in the hospital and going through all kinds of other stuff, how to be grateful for being gutless, and how it has made her, she's going to talk about being a detourist. I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but like when your life takes you somewhere where you had no plans of going.
I like that.
Yeah, so she'll be here tomorrow, and it's very, very exciting for me. I think she has her own play and all this other great stuff that she does. It's very exciting. Anyway, join us tomorrow at 3 to talk to Amy. Thanks again, Tony, for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
Yeah, and we'll talk to everybody later. Thanks.
Sounds good.